Hey, and we started, man. Welcome back to Badtoongospels, man. Today, we have another interview. Tell the people who you are. Tell the people what you do. Let them know.
My name's Tasvirdesaiart. I am a digital mixed media artist from South Africa. I specialize in creating digital mixed media pieces utilizing digital arts, digital painting from using classical style painting, as well as a mixture of AI for conceptualization and digital design. Normally, that helps with the back end process of coming up with what the idea is that I want to do. And I tie that in with a bit of video editing. So I use poetry and video editing as well on the side to combine the two pieces together to make a cohesive digital narrative that's both visually appealing for storytelling and narrative. So yeah, that's basically a bit about me.
I ain't gonna lie, that's beautiful. That's really dope. Now, I really want to get into, just based off of the conversation that we had on the phone prior, I really would like to get into what art really means to you, because I feel like you have a certain perspective, like you're in the art industry for sure.
Yeah.
You experience that side. I would love to hear what art means to you, and tell me more about the industry and what you've been through personally, and just way to pros and cons on that for me.
Yeah, so definitely. I think with any journey with art, if you're gonna look at it, I think everyone has a starting point of like what actually got them to art. So for me, I think my journey with art was probably when I was like in grade 7 or grade 6, one of the two. And I think if I had to think about a specific memory of that, like I remember drawing a fireworks or something like that basically. And then I showed it to my mom actually, and then my mom was very impressed with that. And for whatever reason, that just stuck with me, and like I basically made a whole journey off of it because I knew at that point I was like, is this actually something I actually want to do, and actually process?
Like,
yeah. So like I was thinking to myself, if maybe this is the route I should go. And then I spent most of my life just training home training and stuff, going through home tutoring for art and all these other things as well, techniques and stuff. And then I came across like during the time that I've been looking for art and stuff, I was really impressed with digital media, specifically like the way the colors are used, the impressionism and stuff, and how everyone has their own digital style. So seeing that like really inspired me, and like that made me want to get like a drawing tablet and like push my mom to get like something like that, some equipment and stuff like that to do. And after getting the equipment, I just started practicing. And I think getting into the industry, you have an exception of like, this is the industry, it's going to be easy to get into as an artist. You think that's like your first initial instinct, right? You obviously have back end things or knowledge and thinking that, okay, no, but things are not going to be that easy. Until you actually step into the arena of art industry, do you realize that not only is competitive, you also have to stand up visually from your own style. You have to have your own visual appeal, your own story narrative. You have to do something so different that nobody else is doing that will sell yourself. Plus, you also have to market yourself and all these other things as well.
That's very true.
The industry, the way I look at it, is that the industry has definitely, I wouldn't say it changed. I don't know whether it has changed or whether it has been the same, but to get into the industry, first off, it's like you have to invest certain amounts of money into it, which you weren't already really prepared for. And in order to make your name out, you have to invest money to promote yourself and to promote content, and to not only on Instagram and social media, but everything in general. I think even selling art for that matter is a tricky thing because you have to find the right clients and stuff like that. And if you're not a marketing person, you're not going to have much luck doing that. And this is where other platforms come in, where they say, oh, you can advertise with us, but like you advertise with us and you pay this much money to actually do that, There's very few platforms that you can actually advertise for and sell on that platform for free, basically. But even if you do that, who's going to buy your art? How are they going to actually know that your art's for sale? How are you going to actually market?
Are they like really promoting you? Are they really like putting you on the front page?
That's
stuff
what I'm
like
saying.
That. Like, what's the odds?
Yeah, and then when it comes to social media as well, social media is the other ballgame. You have to know how to market yourself on social media, and whether people are going to appeal to your art or not is another thing as well. And you can also do something to set someone off as well. For example, AI is a very controversial topic as well in the things, and a lot of artists won't speak about it because they either have a fear that it's going to take their job, or they rather stay away from it completely, because with AI, people really don't like it because either it's the job thing or it's the money making thing as well that it does as well.
Okay, so hold
Also
on real
the
fast. I
concepts
want to
and
go
stuff.
back to a
Yeah.
certain topic. I want to go back
Oh,
to
yeah.
a certain topic. We're going to hold on to the AI really
Oh
fast.
yeah.
But I really wanted to ask you, before you had moved on, I wanted to say, okay, when you had found out art was competitive, right?
Oh yeah.
And also I find this coming up a lot for even myself being a digital artist.
Mm.
I find myself having to really fight for a place in that competition, because some artists look at other like digital artists as they're not real artists, or they can't do this,
Yeah.
and stuff like that, which isn't true.
No, it
So
isn't true.
I would love to get your perspective of how were you able to really get in there and be able to be, I guess, seen, quote unquote, or
Oh
to
yeah.
even be recognized as like, okay, this is an actual artist. This is somebody who's making impactful art, or somebody who's making impactful art in their environment, in their own right.
Yeah,
So
no, I
let
get
me
what you
know about
mean. Yeah, so I think that also comes down to your technique. So the false narrative is that if you're a digital artist, you don't know how to paint, but if you're going to digitally paint, you have to know how to draw.
You
And the
have
only way you know how to draw is if you physically draw by yourself.
to.
It's the only way you know. I feel like pen and paper versus digital and digital and tablet is the same thing basically. You're just using different materials. With regards to trying to stand out, I feel like for me, my technique was that I studied, or I had a very strong appreciation for classical paintings.
Ooh,
And one of the techniques that I learned from them was to actually learn on how to apply it to digital mixed media or digital painting. So, for example, Romanticism or Neoclassicism, a lot of the paintings use brushstrokes and stuff like that. So one of the techniques that I would learn is actually figure out how to actually apply that to digital painting, and make my paintings look almost like a classical painting, like it's actually painted by a paintbrush.
Yeah.
And then implement that as well. And that normally threw people off, because people are like, oh, okay, wait, is this actually a painting or is this actually like a digital painting,
Yeah,
And I think that's,
I was like, is this real?
Yeah. It throws people off, and that's normally how I found my niche. I was like, oh, okay, I can actually make this my niche, And then that's just how I went about doing things, and that's still how I go about doing things as well. And I don't know how else the poetry of video came in. Somehow I was like, every piece has words and stuff like that, and I'll just tie that in with it. And I wrote that and did video editing, and somehow people enjoyed the fact that they can actually look at an art piece, have something to read about it, and then still have a story to tell. But in saying that, as if everyone's different as an artist, you're not going to do the same thing I'm doing. Someone else is going to have a different opinion. It's just you need to find your own unique narrative or your own unique niche and stick with it and try to develop it the best you can.
Very true. That's very true. That's very true. I like that, because I feel like, again, a lot of people don't put respect on digital artists, and I like that for sure. It actually takes real skill to come on the computer and do it.
Yeah.
So one more question about that. I wanted to ask: when you first started touching into digital, was it a hard transition for you to kind of add your classical skills to digital at first? Was that because I kind of find it myself, I kind of feel like it was hard.
Yeah, it was hard. So thing is that real life I suck at painting. I suck at actually oil painting and stuff like that, but I'm really good at shading and color shading with pencils and charcoal. So that's normally something that I specialize in, very good, like black and white and stuff. So the real transition came in to learning how to actually paint on digital thing and using color too, because I'm so used to black and white. Then when I got into color, that was a whole thing, because there's so many spectrums of colors and stuff, I think that's the difference as well. But in terms of the actual skill of drawing, it wasn't too bad because I was very used to it. I think the type of drawing tablet you use has an effect. If you get two types, I know you get the one with the screen and you get the one without the screen. For me, I find the one with the screen a lot more easier to use than the one without the screen. But it's also up to preference.
Yeah, it does. But I definitely feel exactly what you mean. Because when
Yeah,
you touch the one with the
yeah,
screen, it's like, you know.
yeah.
So I
Really.
did want to include too. How did your environment shape your art style?
Mm.
What are some of the experiences? What are some of the experiences that shaped your art style, and what was your well? How did that also your environment do that too?
So basically my art is shaped mostly about my past and like my trauma as well. So well,
Hmm.
I wanted to get into it. Basically I didn't have a very good upbringing growing up. So for a lot of my art you would see that most of it focuses on like only women like that I draw basically. And the reason for that is because I had a lot of like strong women's support in my life, you know, and I always use that as a muse for shaping my art and stuff. Did I did grow up with abuse and stuff like that in the household as well. So I'm not too scared of sharing saying that. I had to also witness my mom going through abuse and stuff. And I guess it was a cycle, you know.
Yeah,
And watching that as a kid, it really messes up with you. Like mentally, you think to yourself like, okay, is this actually gonna happen to me? And you know, thing. I also went to school, had the same treatment as well, got bullied and all these other things as
yeah,
well for having my own ideas and stuff or being more different, you know.
yeah,
And when I got to the art world, when I started expressing myself through art, I felt that was a way for me to get out most of my emotions that I had. You know, most of the pent up emotions I had about what I was feeling, what I was going through. I feel like I can express it more easily through art and give people an idea through the art that I do. A lot of my art deals with trauma, basically. A lot of it does. It's not a very happy thing. But in saying that, expression isn't about how much pain you have or how much you do. It's about how much you can actually give to someone or make the viewer feel. You know, if you can express your what you went through visually, it's more than enough for another person to understand as well. They don't need to know the full story of what you went through, what all the issues were. But if that painting is enough to speak to them and relate to them emotionally, that's enough as your job as an artist you've already done. You know.
yeah,
And that's basically how it's shaped as well. And like going forward as well, I really want to keep on developing my style. You know, my
yeah,
focus more centers on like how I can actually help the viewer handle their own traumas as well and help them their own emotional processes and stuff and make it more relatable. You know.
yeah. Okay, so extending off of that, who do you hope to reach with your art?
Mm. The people I'm trying to reach mainly is people who feel like I think it's the general audience. If I'm being honest with you, I feel like it's people who generally struggle to have a voice or have anything to speak about. You know, people who are too shy to either voice their opinion or say what they're feeling. You know, or have pent up emotions or
Yeah,
anything like that. You know, if a piece can help them alleviate some of that stress or some of that bottled up emotion, I feel like I would have done a very good job in that. I'm not saying that like my art isn't for everyone else. It is. It's just it's meant there to be a source of inspiration to help you get out of this whatever hole you were into. You know, to
yeah,
show that like if you're going through stuff, there's other people that's going through stuff. You know, there's art pieces that relate to what you are actually going through, and if you can see yourself through that, even through the poetry, even through the videos and stuff, if you can see yourself through those pieces, you know, I feel like you have some way to know that you're not alone and like you can get through the stuff that you get through, you know?
yeah.
As traumatic as it is, there's always something else in the end of it to look forward to.
That's true. That's very true. That's very true. It's a nice message. Now,
Yeah.
now, I
Hmm.
really wanted to know, when did the poetry come into your art? I feel like a
Oh,
lot of people do not mix their poetry and their
yeah.
art together. So when did that come about? And like, how did
Yeah.
you learn how to incorporate that?
That was actually like my mom's push to do that. Yeah, so like for me, like when I did the art piece, I was like, you know, something's missing, you know, maybe
Yeah.
I could add something to it. And like I wasn't convinced entirely on the idea whether poetry would work. For whatever reason, it worked very well actually. So I was surprised and I was like, you know, let me add to it with videos and stuff. But with poetry, Like I've always had so if you don't know, like I have a book already that pushed on Amazon called Celeste and Astral.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've always been into poetry, and like I've always had the writing ability to do that. And the thing is, with poetry, I've always been like shy to do it because, like, I don't know, it's like you're expressing yourself, you're putting yourself like so much more
Yeah, it's so
vulnerability.
deep, you know,
Like
it's coming from the
poetry is like
soul.
hectic, you know, like poetry forces you to be vulnerable. And like, I was like, I don't want to be vulnerable, you know. I'm already doing it with art, and like just adding this extra layer, you know, you're opening yourself up for injury, you know.
Yeah,
So I was
sometimes,
like, you know what? I'd rather do it than not do it. So I ended up doing it, like was one of my first pieces that I did. And like people ended up saying, "Oh, this is so good. I actually didn't know about this and stuff." And then that actually made me happy. And I was like, you know, maybe I can improve this more. And then I just added videos and stuff to it to add to more of the message and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I like that. Okay, cool. That's dope, man. I like that.
Yeah,
So for any artist that would love to incorporate certain things, you know, take that step, man.
yeah,
You never know how that's
yeah.
gonna work out for you. Never, never ever, man. So okay, so now let's go back to the AI thing. So I
Yeah.
know that you are in that industry. So I would like to
Mm.
hear your perspective on it because I think that you have an interesting way of looking at it and a smart way of looking at it. And
Yeah.
I really would love for people to hear this.
Yeah, so my view on AI, as with anything, is it's a tool basically, and a tool's job is only to make the thing process of doing something easier. It's not supposed to replace you as an artist, so it's not supposed to replace anything that you do. You're using AI as a tool to just replace what you're doing, then you're not utilizing it to the fullest that it can be. You should use it for example, for me specifically, I use AI as a tool to conceptualize the ideas I want to do, you know, and try to incorporate it that way, because some of my pieces do blend photography as well in it. So photography is a very tricky medium to use, especially when you use AI. It helps conceptualize what idea you want to do for, especially for the photos and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And I think with AI going in the future, if you don't learn to like adapt with it or work with it fully, you know, you're going to find yourself in trouble because in the future the world is going to have AI incorporated in everything that it does, you know. And the artists that do generally stick around are the ones who learn how to actually work with it or blend with it, you know. But the thing is that like AI can never replace an artist.
At all.
And it can never replace an artist's soul because you would know a piece has soul in it because you can tell if it was painted by a human or not, you know. The only thing
Exactly.
AI can do is help you ease that process of making that art piece itself, you know.
Understood. Okay. I like that. It's true because art, I feel like a part of art is definitely like the human error, and that's what brings the
Yeah,
soul, you know? And
yeah,
like you say, it can never replace an artist, but it can be used as a tool, you know? So,
yeah,
interesting perspective. I love to, for people, you know, I would love for a person to talk more about that, you know?
yeah.
And
And
also,
people are scared too. Yeah,
exactly. And I was
yeah.
like, how did you get into that industry in the first place? Or did that inspire you? Well, did art inspire you to kind of move more into that
hmm
direction, or is it
I,
just like a personal thing?
no, I think it's the way technology was headed. Like, when did AI start? AI started like popularizing, I think, in 2023, and by that time, I was like, okay, you know what? Let me experiment with it. I've been hearing things from every around the corner and stuff like that. AI is bad, AI is this and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And the more it evolved, the more sophisticated the tool became, and the more ease of use it became. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I started experimenting with it early, and I never really got used to it. But when I discovered that, like maybe I can actually use AI in a different way as opposed to actually generating art, which is not like how you're supposed to be doing it,
Yeah.
I felt like the way to conceptualize ideas made it so much more easier because I actually thought I have an idea in my head as an artist, you know, but like how do
Mm-hmm.
I actually get that idea out, you know?
I
And I
get
think
it.
that's where AI came in because I was like, if I can use AI to conceptualize what I'm thinking and then do it obviously afterwards in a different way, you know, to the same thing that I did, then that helps me as an artist because I'm getting whatever is in my head out and I can actually see whether it's good or not, you know?
Understood. I get
Yeah.
that. Okay. Okay. So now I wanted to kind of switch back into the industry aspect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know that you told me that you sold pieces, of course, nationally, you
Mm.
know, And I would like, and I know we also had a discussion of how they don't really, I guess, really support artists like how they're supposed to. Like it's really on the artist to do basically everything for themselves. But
Yeah.
I would like to know, how would you hope the art industry would treat artists more? And I know we also talked about kind of it being behind a paywall almost, like,
Yeah.
So talk more about that. Talk about your hopes,
So
some of the future.
yeah, with regards to the industry, I feel like there's a difference between established artists and like new artists and artists who are just getting into the industry. There's like a huge difference. And this is where I come across and where like I also have the question like, was it actually easier to get into the art industry when it was way before when, like my parents' time? Or is it more difficult now? That's what I'm thinking. And
I
I'm
think
like,
so. I
yeah, and
think
I
it's
don't
easy.
know.
I'm sorry. I was like, I think it was
No, go
easier
ahead.
in the past because I feel like now it's super oversaturated. Everybody thinks
Yeah,
they're artists.
yeah. And the same thing
Every
with content creation too. Everyone thinks that they want to do content creation because it's the easiest way out. Like art, it's not an easy industry. It's never been an easy industry. It's always difficult. It's been difficult. But like, and this is where the thing comes in. It's like when people take well, I like to say companies, but like in general, people like to take advantage of newer artists because they're so new and so fresh. You can obviously exploit them for whatever money you can as well, and that's what a lot of companies do. A lot of art galleries do. For example, like for what I know is that like when it comes to for me submitting to art galleries, for example, they expect you to pay a certain fee if you're like a new artist. If you represent by a gallery, you're fine. You can just go in and all these other things as well. But
exactly.
straight up, that was like the first thing because you expect it as an artist. First off, I'm the artist. Like if you wanted to have my art in your gallery, it's not a normal thing. It's always how it's been way before when even I knew that. Like in the 1900s or something like that, if you wanted to have your art in the art gallery, you could free it as well to do it. They just had to accept it and stuff like that. Now you have to pay to get your art gallery accepted because it's them that's advertising it. And
Exactly.
I think that's also where the thing comes in because it's expensive. It's very expensive to have your art in the galleries. They charge a huge arm and a leg for it, and they throw other benefits, also thinking that it will be a lot better, but it's actually not.
It's not.
Even if you sell the art piece there, how many art pieces can you actually sell in a year to make a certain amount of profit? You can't make
It's
sales.
never guaranteed.
It's never guaranteed, and it's always fluctuating as well. And the thing is that even if you sell like 2 or 3 art pieces, what's to say that you would still gain more and more recognition, Because the biggest strength of an artist is word of mouth. The more people talk about you, the more people know about you, the better your art will sell. That's always been the strongest poke point. And the most established artists, from what I've seen, have already been pre-established way before when. I'm talking about like artists now that's in the 2025s, They've already had their audience established. And what I wish for is that the industry would be able to be more easier to get into or more accepting of newer artists, that getting into the industry won't be like a money field, that you can just get into and there'll be galleries that can support you. There's people that want to take you on because a lot of people are scared to take newer artists because there's a gamble in the gallery as well. The gallery doesn't know. Yeah, the gallery doesn't know where they think, but it's not to justify what they're doing is right or not. It's also from their perspective I can understand, but it's also that's what art is. It's always been a gamble. You don't know whether you're going to succeed or not. You have to take that risk.
It leaves such a small hole for other artists. Like you say, they don't know if they're going to make money off this artist. So they're going to always lean towards the person that's already up there or they already worked with before. And it leaves such a small gap. So
and it's competitive. Very competitive. If you don't have something that makes you unique, you're going to either find someone who does something similar to you or does something better than you, and you never want to compare yourself to someone who's better than you as well, because that's just going to play mind games with you and you're going to put yourself down.
That's very true. It's going to mess with you, and then it's going to be like, So, and so saying that, what are some of your hopes for the industry though? Like, what's something that you really wish that would get better? Like, or
for me, I think, No, I was saying that, like, for me, I think my biggest hope would be that we have more ways of getting artists promoted, newer artists promoted, artists in general to find new means of selling their art gallery representation as well, more representation, just to make, I think, the ease of getting in the industry a lot easier. Like the way it is now, it's like paid for and stuff like that. You have to have a money wallet just to do things and stuff like that. I mean, really shouldn't be that case, you know?
Yeah.
It should be just go in, have like how it used to be, you know, just put your whole soul into it and stuff and see where it goes, you know. Whether you make it or not, it shouldn't be up to the gallery to decide. It should be up to you as a person how much you're willing to put into it to make it succeed, you know.
Okay.
I think that's where the industry is, and I think also like representation as well. Getting a gallery to represent you is not an easy thing. You know how difficult that is. That is insanely difficult. They expect you to have like already promoted and stuff like that, to already have certain galleries showing your works and stuff. You know, you have to have a
Right.
strong portfolio.
A
And
very strong one.
yeah, and once you have a gallery represented, that's when you know you're actually an artist that's taken seriously. Other than that, you are still trying to get into that field. That's the goal of, I think, every artist wants to be serious, is to get gallery representation.
Very true. That's the main goal for most artists, for all artists,
Yeah,
is to be taken seriously, is to have that big break, the big recognition.
yeah, yeah.
So I wanted to get more into the topic of what, like, the art scene in South Africa, because
Oh,
I feel like in
yeah.
the US you definitely don't hear anything outside of the US. I
Yeah.
would love to hear what the art scene is like down there, and what's one thing that you think that makes it different from anywhere else in the world.
Oh, South Africa is a pretty interesting one, eh? So I don't know what the scene is outside of South Africa, but South Africa is very focused on African art, specifically tribal art and stuff like that. Art that expresses more about the poverty situation in South Africa do very well here. Art that talks more about like African culture, tribalism, past experience, you know, the Khoisan and all these other things as well. Art that's generally on that medium as well. Sometimes you see art that do well that's about animals too, like animal art or landscapes too, because there's a lot of landscapes here in Cape Town and stuff that does extremely well. And I think what makes that different is that you don't see much of, I think you actually don't, landscape art, if I'm being honest with you, outside of our country. I don't know whether you do or don't. But for us, we have such a unique landscape about safaris and stuff like that. Even about, yeah, even the way the art style of how they painted and stuff is very different. It's like it's basically more like impressionistic style of painting, which is like more loose brushstrokes and stuff that they
Yeah.
use, especially, and more colors as well to give the overall narrative. But I feel like outside of South Africa, I don't see people talking much about us as a country. That's where like I realized, and I was like, I know we have major artists that come from us, you know, and like
Yeah.
the thing
Sure.
is that like if I go to America or if I go to Paris, I don't know if I'm going to find any of our art, you know, there as well. And I don't know if people talk about us.
Not necessary. I would say not in that true traditional
Yeah,
way, but most definitely it's like you'll run into that type or that aspect,
yeah.
like, that kind of represent, not, I guess, not really South Africa, but that
Do you
African
see?
spirit,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah. That's something.
definitely,
It's
especially
tricky.
in
It's very
Atlanta,
tricky.
you will run into a lot of that.
Really? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Surprisingly, yeah, you most definitely would. Atlanta's a
Oh okay.
black dominated city,
Yeah,
so you'll definitely see that, and also in different forms too. Of course, in like a new
yeah,
age way, or more in like a, like feministic way, and also in like
yeah,
that true black pride way as well.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like a big old beautiful
I
bubble.
can imagine. Yeah, 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 yeah. But I think I remember people use it to take a lot of experience from them. So another thing that's very popular in African art is political art too. The three things I've seen is either art that deals with urban settings or like the thing, or political art in general, or art that deals with landscapes and stuff. With political art, it's more about like apartheid and stuff like that, or segregation and whatnot, you know. it's more heavier topics and stuff that you deal with, especially with those types of art scenes and stuff. And they do well, like they do extremely well here. But this is where the difference comes in: is that it's physical painting and not digital painting. Digital painting has not taken off here at all. I would say, like digitally, if you're a digital artist in South Africa, you're not going to. There's not much of it. There's not much art galleries that's going to represent you. However, if you're a
Really?
physical artist, yeah, no, it's true, it's true, it's true. We're very much still in that physical thing as well. We haven't really advanced much when it comes to the art scene in terms of going from physical to digital. You know, it's
Okay.
very very rare that you actually do see that, and you do get rarely you do get some art exhibitions that do show digital, but it's extremely rare. We have something called First Thursdays by in Cape Town,
Yeah.
whereby all the art galleries open late and stuff like that. And most of the work that you find there are all physical mediums and stuff like that, dealing with various topics and stuff. It happens every first Thursday of every month that they do it.
That's
So
cool.
when you attend those, you expect to find some sort of narrative with digital, but not really.
But okay.
Yeah.
That's
So I
interesting.
don't know what it's like in America.
Oh yeah, it's a mix. It's definitely a
Yeah.
mix. But when you start getting more into the gallery aspect, they're definitely they always kind of look at I always say or how I feel is that they respect more of the handmade or
Hmm.
just the painted on canvas and brush kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like a whole thing of mixed media there. There's
Yeah. Yeah.
people
Yeah.
that mix photos with art. There's people that handcraft, statues and models and things of that nature. And you also do
Yeah.
have the digital art in there, the purely digital. They definitely do that. Like I say, they mix photography
Yeah.
with all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's they definitely have their own splash of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's
So it's
cool.
a little bit
Actually.
more freeing down here, most definitely. It's way
Yeah, yeah. We unfortunately, we don't have that type of freedom for expression. However, I feel like we're very much lacking behind in terms of like advancing and stuff like that. And we need that type of appeal. But then again, as I said before, it's also difficult for newer artists to get in with newer voices and stuff, an already existing industry to make it more different. You know, and that's what you need as well. You need fresh perspectives. You need new ideas and stuff to
that's
make the
true.
art industry different. Because if you don't get new perspectives, new fresh ideas, it's going to be the same thing, and nobody wants the same thing. They always want to experience something new, something that like they haven't seen before. You know?
That's true. That's true. Well, has anybody ever tried to make that like space on their
Yeah,
own?
I'm pretty sure people have tried. I think it's just the way things are here. I think
Yeah,
art galleries here are very stringent on traditional media. Like,
yeah,
I know it's not an uncommon thing. I've seen it before. I know a few countries who are still that's inclined that way. You know, and I don't really view it as a bad thing. Nor do I say it's a good thing either, as well, because it's like
yeah,
if you're not going to advance, you're not going to get anywhere. You know, per se.
yeah.
And I feel like digital media is probably the next advance of like if I'm looking at the art world in general,
Yeah.
digital painting and stuff like that seems like the next advance. Even with AI for that matter, it seems like the next step in the process of like advancing art.
Yeah. Well, yeah, mixed with a new
Yeah,
perspective for sure. Yeah,
yeah.
when it comes to technical wise,
I,
yeah, most definitely. It's a new wave. It's a new thing that
yeah.
I think is kind of
I
going.
remember, yeah, I remember someone argued that like somewhere in like 2016, 2017, people would pay an arm and a leg to have something already authenticated, painted by hand, or like a movie made by hand, like, and then it'll become
Exactly.
like, oh, then you get some marketing that says this movie was filmed by using humans or something like that. I feel like you'll get
Uh,
something like that, and then
no,
it's
for
like,
real.
oh, it's
It'll
made
be
by
the new
humans.
thing.
Okay, so we should charge you more for it, and then you should just go watch it.
No, seriously though, you're gonna see it's gonna be a huge reverse. Like
Yeah,
just watch. But
yeah,
that's pretty dope, man. I think you have a very interesting perspective on like the industry and
yeah.
you know, I kind of find well, I love how I guess you guys have a real art district down there. You even though it's still
Oh
kind of
yeah,
stuck in the past a little bit,
yeah,
it's very
yeah.
prevalent, and I love
Yeah, it
that.
is.
And one thing I wanted to ask, well, one of the few things I wanted to ask
Mhm.
were necessarily what do you hope to bring into the industry, as in just like not even just the industry as in art, but just to the art culture, to the industry? And how do you see yourself growing at as an artist from now on to years down the line?
Um, for me, I've always I've always viewed art as like a stepping stone, and for me, art doesn't start with like only painting. For me, art
Yeah.
focuses even more into like directing and creating movies and all these other things as well. It's more than just like what I think. I just want to bring fresh stories. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Stories that like people haven't thought about or that are too shy of doing. Art that isn't too scared about like topics that shouldn't be talked about. I want basically to be more than what I really think I am, and just keep evolving the best way I can. Art shouldn't start at one stagnant point. It should keep on evolving, no matter how what you do, no matter how you do it. Just fresh ideas, fresh perspectives, and stuff. And like the way I see it is that like art for me, art is an all-encompassing medium. It's a visual storytelling narrative, and that's always been something I've always wanted to push forefront with art, especially for me personally. Is that I want to be able for people to not only relate but have their stories told through the art I create, to have their experiences recreated in the art that I make, and to have their not only just stories but just in general their emotions as well, and encapsulated in what they already know or feel or what they're scared to feel. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's just your job as an artist, is to, if your art can make someone feel something, then you've already done your job as an artist, because an art is supposed to be an emotive experience, and it shouldn't start with one medium. It should start with all the mediums that you want to choose to encapsulate in your experience.
Yes, that I like that. I like that. I think
Yeah,
that's really real, and that's a real job as an artist, to make
yeah,
people feel. You know,
yeah,
I always say, I like to say, it's a little bit of a healer's journey.
yeah,
Like, a
yeah,
little healer's journey.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know. Okay, I like that, man. So this is a question I've been saving for a little
Oh
minute.
yeah.
What does I ask every artist this, because I feel like every artist has a perspective of viewing life that's just completely different from the average. So
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to ask, what does life look like to you? And you can take that question however you want it.
Oh.
But what does life look like to you? Because I feel like
Mm,
every artist has a very interesting perspective.
yeah, that's actually very interesting. So I'm actually a very spiritual person. So a
Mhm.
lot of my experience with life ties into like spirituality and stuff like that. So for me, I think life for me is something that doesn't stop and doesn't end when it needs to end. It's always continues. And for me, like I don't know how to describe it. I think for me, life is just more about the experiences that you have and the stories that you can have within those experiences as well, and the amounts that you can share, the memories and such as well. You're gonna get to a point where it's like you don't want to live without any regrets or anything like that. You don't want to do anything that you don't regret. Sorry, that you want to regret. And it's like the more I think about it, the way I see it is with life is like for me, I always viewed it as like my own thing to be able to do and have my own ways and stuff and be my own freedom and such and that as well and expressing myself.
Yeah.
I think life is just an evolving is basically about evolving yourself as a person and getting to that last point and stuff where you realize that you've done everything that you could and you've lived your life to the fullest you can. Whether someone remembers you or not is entirely up to them. But as long as you left your mark on the world, I guess that's all that matters. And I guess that's how I view life as well. It's just something that you have that God gave you and that you need to fill it to the best you can, you know? There's the most amount of memories and stuff like that because you only have one life to live at this point. You don't know what's going to happen afterwards. Might as well make the most of it and try not to regret too much on the things that you do wrong and stuff because everyone's going to make mistakes. This is just how you learn from that.
That's so real. That's so real. I like that. Now that if anybody was a message, you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
Message, man.
yeah.
For real. Okay. Okay. So now, you know,
Mm.
we kind of reaching that end point, or we reaching that
Oh
point.
yeah.
So I wanted to ask you if you had if you just had like one more day on this earth, what would you what message would you leave behind? Or what would you tell the youth coming, after you? What would you tell the youth? What would you like your last
Mm,
just to be
yeah.
artist and
Um,
living soul?
don't I think the best message is to not give up on your dreams, no matter how many people tell you not to do it, no matter how many people try to misconceive you and your narrative and stuff like that. Find the best way to express the way you want to express yourself. And only you know yourself best, and you rather do something that you know best as well. Only you can dictate the path that you want to go to. Nobody else can dictate it for you. You have free reign to do whatever you want to do, and you should have free reign to express yourself however you want to express yourself, regardless of what that may be. As long as you love your dream and you try to get it, as difficult as it is, it's always going to have its curves and ends and stuff. You shouldn't stop no matter how hard the road is, because there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, as cliche as that sounds, you know?
Hey, usually the most cliche things are real.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, man.
Yeah.
So I guess before we really close this out, is anything you would you want to let the audience know? Anything, any new projects coming up? Anything you want to do,
yeah. So thank you for this opportunity. I really do appreciate like having this opportunity and stuff. And it was good speaking to people and getting people to know more of my perspective and stuff. In terms of new projects, I am looking to make more waves during the November and stuff like that. But at the moment, I guess I need to start as well. I got something that I want to do that like I haven't shared just yet, but it is going to be published, and I feel like those who want to be waiting for that ride, I'm more than happy to have you on board for it. And yeah, hopefully this has helped you and stuff, and I hope that you have something to take away from this as well.
So man, like I always say, man, thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you, man. Thank you for coming to this interview. Thank you for expressing what art means to you and showing people another perspective outside of the US, bro. Like this all around the world, y'all.
Yeah.
The talent all around the world. And everybody has a story. And thank you for coming in today, man. Seriously.
No problem.
Welcome to closing out, and welcome again to Badtoongospel. We just finished another one, guys. You guys have a great day, man, and I'll see y'all next week.